Hi everyone, welcome to Art Palette. My name's Karen. Just if you're in the comments section, can you let me know if you can hear me clearly? I just want to make sure that my microphone's working. So welcome to A Cup of Whimsy. I'm going to start a little after 7, just so that everybody can kind of join in and we can all start together. So if you're watching the recorded version, you can just kind of skip forward. For those of you just joining, can you let me know if you can hear me clearly? I just want to make sure that my microphone is on. There's maybe someone in the comment section. There's like a little chat bubble. If someone can just let me know if they can hear me. Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to go over my tools in just a brief moment. Basically just a pencil and pencil crayons, but I'll get into like specifics and stuff in a little bit. How's everybody doing? Ooh, I got someone from Australia. That's fun. Hi, Pamela. I just finished creating my free event for June. Give you a little sneak peek. Oh, you hear me double? How about now? Can you hear me? I just muted my my laptop. Okay. Does it sound like echoey? Maybe. Am I on? That's weird. Maybe you have the thing open twice, Donna. Maybe check and see if the tab is open twice. I'm going to show you off my little rainbow seashells for June. It looks a lot brighter in person. You kind of get up close and see all that detail. I got a bug squished on it. I was drawing it outside. So not fun. Hi, Joanna. So that'll be for June. I'm in Ontario, Canada. Up in kind of like Georgian Bay area. Ooh, nice. My mom just bought a house in Quebec. Or not bought a house, but is moving to her house in Quebec. She just sold our house of 35 years today. So I'm a frequent visitor of Quebec as well. So I see I got a few kind of joiners. So I'm going to get chatting about my materials. Basically, I'm just using a variety of different pencil crowns with this one. I try not to get too crazy with the blending and stuff, so I kept it simple. I know that most people that join my free ones are just picking up a pencil or a pencil crown for their first time, so I like to use tools that I know everybody has at home. So I have, a bunch of different brands. I'm using Crayola. I'm using Faber-Castell, which is a very pricey sort of high-end brand. I'm just using like school grade of Stadler, which is just kind of a basic brand. I also have Prismacolors. So whatever you have, it's all going to work out no matter what sort of brand you have. And just grab every color you can think of. So I tried to get like a good set of rainbow colors going. But you'll want a variety of each sort of color. So with the pinks, I got pinks and purples. I don't know how clearly you can see that on camera, but up close there's a lot more detail than kind of like once you zoom in, you can kind of see that there's a lot more different shades of pinks and purples going on. Kind of when I bring it down, it looks a little bit more flat. So I have purples and pinks, like a variety of them, a variety of blues. So you got baby blues. I have like a navy blue, obviously yellow, some different purples for the butterfly and the flowers, some reds and tan for the mushrooms, and a variety of greens as well. That's pretty much it for colors. Maybe an orange. And I did get like a little gold. I have a fun gold one by Prismacolor for that little rim in the cup. You can kind of design your cup whatever way you want. But that's it for that. You'll also want just a regular pencil and a pen, a black pen, just for some outlining to give it a little bit more of a graphic style at the end. I'm going to start now, but sorry for the little frog person, whoever's commenting. We're going to start with the outline, so we're just going to start with our pencil. So don't worry if you don't have your pencil crayons ready. You can kind of get those in a minute. So for those of you, if this is your first time doing a free event, the video, if you kind of get lost or if I'm going too fast and you're finding that this is my pace is too fast, I do try and keep like a regular speed, but if it's too much or overwhelming, just know that you can always view it after the live event is over. It automatically uploads to YouTube, and you can always go back and watch it at your own speed and pause the video as you wish. Just need to find an eraser. It's always good to have one of those. I'm using an old piece of paper, so I got some scruffies on here I just need to get rid of. Okay, so I actually did this a little differently. When I first drew it, I had just envisioned the cup, and the moon was kind of an afterthought. But I kind of want to do it differently and do the moon first. It's usually easier to do it that way. So we are going to start with that moon. They are a weird shape to draw, so try your best just to get that nice little scoop. Mine's not perfect, so don't worry about it too much. It's a whimsical piece, so it can be off. Okay, Okay, so, and when you're doing your outline, try and be nice and soft with that outline. You don't want this really harsh, dark outline to start. Let's kind of start with the letter C. Because you want to be able to erase your lines. Okay, these are just our guidelines for filling in. You can have it more scooped, you can have it a little bit more open. Doesn't really matter. I might change mine. I find moons are something you just have to like really play with. I find this, the first couple like this, I might close in a little bit. I don't like how big it is. Moons are a very finicky, annoying shape to draw. So we're just gonna fiddle with that for a moment. You just kind of join them with a little point. Already it's too skinny. I'm gonna bring it in. You want a wider piece at the back here. I go over my lines a bazillion times till I find that nice rhythm that I like. Try and find my shape. The first couple lines are always like you're warming up. I haven't picked up a pencil all day. I'm just gonna get rid of that. With that skinny end to it. Once we add the cup in, we can kind of fiddle with its shape. Gotta bring it more to a point. So the trick is finding that good little point to it with a big chunk right in the back. I'm going to balance that out after. So let's get our cup in. Don't worry about your moon. You just kind of need to place it. Most of this will be covered up from the cup anyway, so if it's not totally balanced, don't stress about it too much. Nope. Yeah, mine doesn't look like a moon. Don't worry about it. I honestly did the moon after, and that's why I was able to balance it. And like if you were to join this line, it actually doesn't connect. It's just kind of an optical illusion. So don't worry about the moon just yet. This is all going to be covered and we can fix it up. They're the most irritating thing to draw. I really don't like drawing moons. So we're going to go in with the cup, and that's a pretty simple shape. So this is where I'm going to cut off my moon because I don't like it. And we're just making the little lip, the oval, the opening. So it's just an oval. Just sitting at that base of the moon. I'm covering up that part I don't like. It's like a flat oval. So you want it pretty big because you want to be able to fit a good amount of crystals in there. You know, erase whatever part of the moon is kind of interrupting that circle or oval. The thing with cups, teacups, if you want it kind of more antique looking, they have a pretty specific shape. Usually they were shorter, shorter and fatter. And I kind of went just with a little bit more of a basic cup. So you're kind of scooping in on the sides, just a little bit, and then you're kind of softly coming back out, and the widest part of the cup shouldn't really go past either side of the lip of the cup. So I'm scooping in and scooping out a little bit at the base. Scooping in. And getting that balance on either side is the tricky part. So take your time. I'm gonna join it at the bottom. This looks a little bit more like a mug rather than a teacup. Bring it in a little bit more. Again, most of this is going to get covered, so don't stress too much. Again, get rid of that moon. You can put like a little bottom on it. Kind of scoop in and a little flat line out. Again, that'll probably be covered, so don't spend too much time getting finicky with it. I might bring the lip out of my cup a little bit. There's just a little bit of a lip. To get that little handle, I just did like a little ball. I'll circle. Like a backwards S. Another little ball at the end. And then just attach, kind of coming off that ball. And just erase all your interrupting lines from the moon. We're going to start with the crystals since they're kind of the main focus. There's no, like, you don't have to get too technical with it. It's pretty easy because the way crystals work, they kind of chip off at a like weird angles, but it's always sort of flat. So you don't have to get too like geometric with it and be like, is this correct? It doesn't really. They're not like specific hexagons or cylinders or rectangles. They're just cut in all weird different ways. So let's start with that front one because that's the kind of more prominent one, and it's all the other ones are shooting out from it. So I'm going to start with this shape first, like this like inner part here. So I just started with like a little straight line. And a little triangle sort of on top. And the sides kind of come in a little bit. I'll get rid of the back of my cup so you can see. Pretty simple shape so far. And then you're just sort of building off that. So I built another little side. So I kind of came up past that one a little bit. And maybe join that corner up. Almost looks like a little Chinese takeout container so far. And then you can just join your corners. And then I did another little side. So this is where it doesn't matter too much what you're, like, as long as you're kind of joining corner to corner, like you could go like this and build another little flat side, or you can just keep that all one side and just kind of bring it up. Doesn't matter too much. Again, the crystals kind of have weird cuts and sides and angles. Might just bring this up a little bit more pointier. And I can just draw some more. So you can either start with the flat part, like maybe start with a square and then build your sides off of it. I find it a little easier to just build my sides and see where it goes. This one I kind of want coming up a little bit more sideways. Got kind of three sides going one way, or three lines going one way, and then just join them with a little corner. This one's a little bit more square. And if you want to see another little side of it, you can just build another little line. Just join it to the top. Just kind of making weird sort of shapes. I'll stick them out anywhere, any which way you like. Usually the rule in art is that you have an uneven number with most things. when you hang things on the wall, like pictures, usually put like 1, 3, 5, 7. I don't know why it is, but I think it just is a nice balance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I guess I didn't follow that because there's 6 crystals in there, but you can do whatever you like. I sort of just made it, you know, it didn't fully look complete without that little baby one, so whatever sort of makes sense to your eye. I'll stack them. Oh my gosh. Okay, my cat keeps eyeballing me and wants to come in through the window. She doesn't know that the other window is open, so just give me 1 second. Else she's gonna just glare at me all night. Get in, Pudgy girl. Get in. She's not the brightest cat. I was gonna start with like 2 sides. Maybe I'm gonna throw in another little side so it's like almost looks like a hexagon, but it's not. And I'm going to stick one up here. Started like a little more of a box shape. Try and make this one look different. See, I don't like the 5 because it looks, I want to fill out the cup a little bit more. So I might put another little baby one coming out the side. I could add one more, but might make this one bigger. Might make a few of these bigger actually. This one, just look too, they all look the same. That's the things that you want them to look a little bit not perfect. All sort of different. I don't want too much of a system going or it loses their little character to it. And I'm just going to make this one a little wider. This is where you can play with your moon. I'm going to fix that up because it's driving me mental. I'm going to make my little piece a little bit more skinnier. And bring it down. So this is the foundation of the drawing, obviously, so get it to how you want it. We can take a little break if you want, or if you have any questions. Usually with the Zoom events, I can see what you can show me what you're doing over your camera, and I can help you sort of if you kind of are struggling with anything. But yeah, get it to how you like it, and I'll check in with you guys and see if you're ready to move on to some other. The last little bit of our design, and then we'll start filling in. Like this part. Bring this out. Sorry, I gotta turn my pages. The thing with drawing is usually I don't keep my paper in one spot. I kind of twist it around. I'm gonna keep it stationary so you can see what I'm doing, but it's nice to take control of your drawing. I always sort of whip it around, see all different angles of it. I'll just keep it in one spot. Okay. So maybe in the comment section, just if you can send like a little thumbs up. Let me know that you're all good to go. Cut this in a little bit. Not the comment section, sorry, the chat. There's a little way to do a little chat thing. I can see if you're good to move on. It looks like everybody's somewhat on the same page. So now I kind of just filled in around my cup. I had it kind of more centered in my page. I always go way bigger in my tutorials. I don't know why I like take up way more space. So I'm not really like focusing on my drawing. I'm trying to more focus on what I'm saying to alliterate myself. So I'm going to kind of squish things up a little bit more, but you can kind of, it doesn't have to be the exact same. That's the thing with art, is we kind of all want our pieces to be a little bit different and unique to us. So I started with like just a flower. I did more, I think that's a hibiscus. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just started like a little center. Stick it up here. Teeny little circle. Easy peasy. And the thing with flowers, so I'm going to show you here before I just throw it on there. So usually with flowers, you start out and then in. So you're getting this general shape, but you don't want to just do it flat. You want your tops to have a little bit more of a natural petal. So I kind of give them little lumps and bumps, so they're imperfect. When you're drawing nature, you want things to be a little bit more organic. So you don't want them all to be the same. Try and change it up. Get like a little bit, maybe one petal's a little bit bigger. Okay, so they're not just, you can start this way, like a little, to lay them out. You can kind of just get that general shape. But generally, I just jump into it and make my tops a little bit more natural. Don't worry too much about the cup. The cups, you're going to cover, like if there's a part of the cup, like I don't like how I bulged this out too much. I'm going to cover that up with my flower. We're going to fill in most of the cup, so don't stress on that. Okay, so now we're just drawing like a little sort of hibiscus. It's got 5 petals. So again, try and make your petals a little uneven. You can kind of start with the general like layout of it if you want to just place your petals in there. And then kind of give them more of an organic shape. Put that there if you want. I just threw in some little leaves. I'm just doing them on this paper so you can see them a little bit bigger. And again, with leaves, you know, you can have that typical shape, but try and get your edges to be a little bit more, like I make them a little bit choppier, like, so you still have that general shape of the leaf, but you want like a little bit more cut edges. Kind of just zigzag, make them a little choppy. I kind of just stuck one in behind this hibiscus thing. Maybe a big one. Again, with that typical leaf shape. A little bud. Like some sort of grass thing sticking out of that. And just brought it up. A vine, I guess you could call. And then just like little teeny little leaves coming off of that. You're just building them up. Again, try and make them a little bit unnatural looking. Organic. So I kind of somewhat wiggle my pencil as I'm going up. Just gives them a little bit more life to them. Maybe at the top it gets a little teeny tiny little bud. And the butterfly's sitting on that. flat line. First wing, the front one, goes up, down, and around. So this point at the top's a little bit more pointy. Pointy, then round. Then we're seeing a little bit of the front of the wing, so it's just, or the second wing, just a little point. I'll do it on either, actually, yeah. Never mind. Just talking to myself. So a little flat line for his little body. And then up, pointy, come down, and around. And in front of that, another little point. If your wing is really big, okay, you can keep it like that. Mine looks a little flat, so I'm just going to add an extension onto it, and that's going to be that black part. So you can do that if your kind of wing turned out a little bit too short. It just looks small. So this is kind of like the inside of it, the colored part. Kind of depends on how you drew yours. And the other side, oh, the little mushrooms. I started with the big style here. Usually with the stem, it's like thicker at the bottom. Then comes into a little stick on the top, up and around. And then you'd see a little bit of the underneath of the mushroom. So I just kind of add a little rim. Added little baby ones over here kind of sticking out. Basically just trying to fill in all around. You could add more flowers if you want. You could add any sort of wild, whimsical things to it. Maybe a little ladybug would be cute. On this side, I tried to get a little bit of a different flower going. Started with a little circle and more of like a pointier leaf. Or petal. Kind of had some buds sticking out of those. I might change it. I had them kind of coming over this way. I kind of made this petal weird, so I'm going to put in like a little, just change it. So I just put little buds, like a little scoop, and a V on top, and another little petal on top. So it looks like a tulip almost. A scoop, a V, and a petal. And I did like a giant mushroom coming out of that, so it kind of scooped. Try and get a little bit more narrow at the top. Maybe it's a little bit more slanted. You can fill in the bottom with just leaves. Maybe you could have another little mushroom coming out. I put some vines in there. Might have a little vine coming out this side. So you can always just change it, do whatever you like, fill it in, make it look busy. Add some bugs. I'm just adding some leaves. It's not coming out of the mushroom. It kind of looks like it is, but because that looks kind of funny sitting there, but got a little teeny one, little leaf in behind the cup. I just sort of filled in as I pleased. So I want to get started on the coloring because it does actually take quite a bit of time. So I don't want to, I just want to spend more time doing that. So we can always kind of fill in more if you're waiting, if we're kind of not done filling in and you kind of want to add more, you can. So I just want to jump into it. Let's get into the crystals. They take the longest, or not the longest, but they're more intricate and it's kind of fun to play with them. So let's do that. Now the thing is color, so I don't know everybody's, I'm gonna just pretend that no one knows anything about color, so I can really simplify it for you. Most of these lessons might kind of be repetitive, but for some of you, but it's always good to kind of go over it again. So when you're doing or using pencil crayon, you have to kind of think of them somewhat like paint, where you can't really mix them if they don't make sense together, because even though it's not the same mixture as like wet paint, when they do blend, they can become yucky if you're mixing the wrong colors. So think of your color wheel. Your color wheel, basically opposites don't attract on the color wheel. So purple is a secondary color and yellow is also is a primary color. the two don't blend well together. They make brown. So you kind of have to think about that. So I would stick with, if you want to change the color of your crystals, basically. So what I'm getting at is that you have to kind of be careful with what you're mixing together. So you could do like blues and greens. You could do yellows and greens. Stick with your purples and your pinks and your blues. But yeah, don't go too like color happy with it and try and mix all the colors of the rainbow together, because it just doesn't blend well. So if they're completely opposite, if you just want to pull up a color wheel on Google or something, look directly across from it, and you'll know that those two colors don't mix. Like green and red are opposite on the color wheel, don't mix very well. Unless it's Christmas. But I'm going to stick with my colors. So I have a variety of different purples. I have like a lavender, I have a dark purple, I have a magenta, I have some soft baby pink, and some blues to throw in there. So I'm going to kind of show you. First, we kind of have to make like a basis. So again, just like painting, if you're used to painting, coloring's kind of the same thing, where you want to think of it in layers. So you're layering and making soft layers first, and then kind of throwing your detail on top. So I'm just erasing some of my harsher lines. I went a little bit harsher so that you could see what I was doing. I hope you kind of went a little bit softer so you don't have too much of an outline, but we're going to outline with black pen at the end anyways to give it like a little bit more of a graphic style, so it doesn't really matter too much. So my main one is going to be a little bit more purpley. So I'm going to start with like a soft sort of lavender, and I'm just going to go on my outlines. Kind of re-outline it. Better to start with a softer color than it is a harsher color. And I just lightly filled it in. So it's almost like opaque, translucent. Again, more so using the side of my pencil. When you use the tip of your pencil, it creates like a harsh line. You can see like when I use the side, it's more of like an even stroke. Whereas when I use the tip of my pencil, you see all these like all your little scribble, all your little lines, like they're a little bit more obvious. I usually try to stick to like the side of my pencil when I'm trying to fill in a flat space. You could probably barely see that, but up close, just flat. And then you kind of want to think of like an animated like mirror, you know, like in cartoons, how they have like a reflection and it kind of cuts across the mirror, like little lines or whatever. So that's what kind of what we're doing inside the crystal. It doesn't really matter too much on like where you put your colors too much. Like I just kind of kept my centers nice and light, like the center of each little piece of my crystal. So I'm kind of just like, if this is one side or whatever. Picking a side, and you're just kind of like flicking in, like you're cutting the light inside the crystal. So you're like giving soft flicks from the edges and kind of pulling in towards the center. So like teeny little flicks. But you want to change your color often. So sometimes like I'm just going in with my magenta for a little bit. Maybe covering a little bit of that edge. Maybe a little bit on this side. You're always kind of cutting in to the center, just softly flicking in color here and there. Change it up. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of pink. Soft pink. And cut towards the center. And some colors, you don't have to make them so obvious. You don't have to make this, like this pink is so soft, you can hardly see it. And that's what you want, is to change the visual of each color. So you don't need all your colors to be like, wow, in your face. You want some that are really, really soft, some that are really, really dark. And try not to make a system. So now I'm going in with like a violet. So totally different purple from magenta and pink. Very dark. Again, just slashing it in. See that pink? Probably can't even see it. So think of each little side of your crystal as its own little entity. And maybe even a little bit of blue in there. Soft, 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 soft. So I got a variety of different colors and shades. You're always flicking in towards the center. I kind of made sure my corners, like all my edges, are a little bit more dark. So you do want to cover up, get those little corners. You can even layer some of your colors on top of each other. Okay, maybe one side is a little bit more of that darker purple. Maybe one side's a little bit more pink. But they're all within the same sort of color family. And I kind of kept them on an angle, so my slashes are going the diagonal. I cannot think of that word. And they don't always have to be little slashes. Sometimes I just kind of softly fill in those corners. Still going in a directional motion. And a little bit of pink. And each crystal, you want a different prominent color. So this one's mostly purples. Maybe the one beside it, so that they stand out from each other, is going to be a little bit more blue. The next one will be a little bit more pink. So you can kind of play around. You have a little bit of room to play. I hope that I sort of explained it well. So maybe in the chat, let me know if you're getting it or if you're not getting it. Just make sure, like, to make the each side sort of stand out from each other, you want to change the color a little bit. Like this one, I kept it a little bit more magenta. Whereas this one, I went a little bit more violet. I know it seems like a little bit more up close. And it'll all pop once we give it a little bit of an outline. What's confusing you? The glare, like the light part, I didn't fill in basically. So when I put my first layer on, I went super soft with it and didn't fill in the background. So I'm not slicing totally across my little section. So you want to keep a light section. You want like highlights. So I didn't go fully across with my color, like my darker colors. If you want more of a white, if you want it to look a little bit more shiny, and you put too much color into your crystal, what you can do is take your eraser and actually erase out. Okay, so eraser doesn't, or sorry, pencil crayon doesn't completely erase, but it does pick up some of the pigment. So you can actually highlight and take out if you want to. So you can actually erase some of your pencil crayon, and it just stains the paper. So you still have that color on there, but you're just picking up some of that brightness of the color. So if you kind of made that mistake, you can do that. So basically, just think of the center of each section as a highlight. So you don't want to completely fill in. You still want that brightness. So I didn't go overboard with my color and take over my center of each section. So I'm only lightly flicking into the center of each section. Some sides can be a little darker, like this one I might get a little bit heavier with my color. That's okay. But for the majority, you want a little bit of white popping through on each side of your crystal. Zah. Okay, so the two beside it, I'm going to do a little bit more of blues. So with your blues, again, I just go in with like a soft baby blue. So your lightest tone, basically, of your colors. Kind of outline first. Just erase out your pencil a little bit. Soft, 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 soft when you fill in. Like I'm hardly touching my paper. You still want it to be like, be able to see through your pencil crown, but you want it super soft. You just want that undertone of color. And then you can, maybe with the blues, you can get a little bit more into your navies. I have like a true blue here that's really nice. You can still add in a little bit of purple. You don't want it to just be flat blue. Like even in my purple crystal, I still added in a little bit of blue here and there. But you don't want it too prominent. And it doesn't really matter which way the angles go when you're like diagonally putting in your lines, your little slashes. Just keep them somewhat on an angle. It doesn't matter too much, as long as it's the same on each section. Or the little square shapes that kind of just went across. How's everybody doing with that? Okay, remember you can layer your colors. Sometimes when you put pink over blue, kind of makes like a nice purple. So if you don't have a variety of purples, you can blend them a little bit. Remember to get some darker corners. It's okay if you're struggling. It's not easy if it's your first time. Just about exploring. Remember, if you add too much color and you lost some of your lightness, you can erase it out. And you don't always have to flick, so you don't have to have all these little lines. Sometimes I just softly fill in a side if it's a skinny little teeny side. I don't do all that flicking. I just sort of color in the corners. Do this one a little bit more soft pink. Soft pink with a little bit of purple. Sometimes you can just, I flick down, so they don't always, again, they don't always have to be going in diagonal directions, your little flicks. Okay, they can come down. It's just the way the light or the crystal is cut. Those little cuts or those little lines are like reflection of light, but also like the actual cut in the rock. So it can always change. You don't have to keep it the same. Ooh, I have like a bubblegum pink. Cute. I have like a whack load of colors, so I'm gonna play around with my pinks and my purples. If you really want to get into like a little bit more color theory with the pencil crayons, that one I have coming in June, the Rainbow Seashells. For those of you who joined late, this one's going to be really good for trying to learn how to mix your colors, because we have rainbow colors, and already there's like green and orange opposite of each other, and you can't mix them without making brown. So it's a good one to learn, even if you're not into seashells or whatever. It's a good one how to learn, just to learn how to mix and blend your colors. So that's coming up in June. About an hour. If you don't finish, the video automatically uploads to YouTube, and you can kind of watch it. Watch it whenever you're free. It stays up there forever, so. Just take a few more minutes on these crystals. And we'll jump into the teacup. I'm going to get like, in my corners, I get a little bit more darker. It kind of makes the lighter colors pop. Contrast is quite important when it comes to drawing or art in general. Your lights make your darks darker, and your darks make your lights lighter. So if you like contrast, like make things pop. I really love contrast in my art, so I always try and make things a little darker or a little lighter. And again, to achieve contrast in this color, make sure that you are kind of switching up between your blues and your purples. You know, now I'm going to do this blue one here or this one beside the purple one, really blue. And I might get a little darker and throw in some navy blue. Still want those purples and pinks in the blues so that it kind of matches together, but still you want a little bit more of a prominent color to be something opposite. How is everybody doing? Maybe in the chat, send me some thumbs up. Not getting too much feedback, so I want to know if everybody's okay. Usually silence means everybody's concentrating. Sweet. Looks like we're good. This would be cute as a little card. At Christmas when I do my drawings, I like to recommend turning them into Christmas cards. Like I take some of my drawings and like take a picture of them, and then you can get that picture printed at Walmart. I'm trying to find an example of one of mine, but and I just put it on like a blank white card. Turns out super cute. Can't find an example right now, but something like this would be nice as, I don't know, little thank you card. Something like that. Because even if it's big, you can, like when you take a picture of it and then get that picture printed, it becomes a 4x6. So you can turn it into a card. Something to think about. I always like to kind of add a banging sound. Oh, that might have been my laptop. Sorry, I was digging through my little thing underneath my laptop. That might have been it. Sorry. I was looking for that Christmas card I made. All right, last little crystal. If you're still working away, take your time. I just kind of want to make sure I get everything in a good, decent time. I feel like I'm being a little bit slow. Not slow, but just didn't expect the layout to take so long. It's a silly moon. It takes so long to fiddle with. Generally, I take a lot longer when I do my drawings. Like if I'm doing a commission piece for someone, I spend hours and hours on a drawing. It's good to take it slow. Don't rush yourself. I'm just going to show the next step so that I can jump along. But if you're still working on your crystals, you take your time. So just with your pencil, you can make a design in your cup if you want. I kept it simple just because there's a lot going on in this drawing, but if you want to kind of do something else, you totally can. Maybe polka dots or something. I kind of just did like a little ribbon. Nothing too extravagant. I already don't like it, so I'm going to erase it. Just to make it even. It's not even. It's driving me crazy. I'm a fiddler. I fiddle with my things. I did that gold just to have something pop out because everything else was sort of all the same sort of matching colors. I just wanted that one ribbon of something else. So I have this like cool gold, metallic gold by Prismacolor. I'm going to use that, but if you want to make your cup a little funky, you could do something like a little ribbon of stars to kind of go with the theme of the moon. With that ribbon, I kept it dark kind of on the edges and then a little lighter in the center just to help with the illusion that the cup is shiny. Just dark on the edges, light in the center. Whoa, look at the way the light's hitting that. So pretty. Okay, that's a really cool pencil crown. Highly recommend it. As I drop it. And then I went teal for my cup. I'm going to find my teal. Don't remember which brand I used, but basically a light color and then a dark color of that color. So I went teal and then I used like a dark blue. That's the one I used. So with that color, I went around the cup. So I gave myself a little lip. Going kind of on the outside. And I'm just softly coming down. So with the cup, there's all these like little ridges happening. There's things you have to kind of consider. Is the cup like have like those bumpy little sections, you know, kind of how they have that, or is it just like a smooth cup? Is it porcelain? Is it kind of, I don't know, another, mostly cups are porcelain, but the way the light is going to change on it, kind of, it's always going to be different. With porcelain, it's just constantly sort of shining in weird little spots instead of just like flat on, you know, even like take this mug, for example, at the office, like see how you got the little light. So even with, I can't even show you because my finger changes the light, but there's always going to be like different sort of shadows and stuff happening. So honestly doesn't matter too much how you fill in, as long as you have like little highlight sections. So if it's easier, you can kind of fill it in like the crystals, where you go like your flat soft color. So I just went sort of flat with that teal color, and then sort of added some dark little bits to it here and there. Or if that's kind of too confusing, you can always just color it in flat and erase your highlights. I kind of just randomly throw in a little bit of a dark spot, kind of just going up and down. First, just kind of coloring in getting a soft undertone first. And then keeping the bottom sort of darker. But you want to keep the shape of the cup going too. You don't want to just jet them out flat straight. So see, I'm kind of curving my color up. So it's got like a little bend to it. It's going to help with the illusion that the cup is a cylinder shape. And to kind of push that color out and not just like have it stop dead, I kind of go in like little circles, like I'm kind of going up and down, like little circles instead of just like flicking. I'm coloring in like a little circular motion, and it kind of helps fade off. Instead of having like just a flat line of where your color ends, kind of you want to like almost blend that color out, blend that shade out. So I kind of push a little harder at the bottom, and then as I get closer to the top, I'm sort of softly trying to transition it out. So it's a soft fade. Get a little heavier on that corner. So coloring in the shape of the cup. You can come down from your little ribbon or the lip of the cup. Doesn't, a little bit of both. And again, kind of dark, but you want to leave some little highlights. So I'm not fully coloring in every little bit. Just kind of skipping out. So kind of like in the center, like the center zone. as you kind of come up straight in the center instead of curved, because you're seeing it straight on now. Getting a little darker and under those mushrooms. Okay, if that kind of isn't working for you, or you don't like feel good kind of blending it out, if it's not like your cup of tea, you can erase it out. So you can kind of just fill in, and I'll do that quickly so you can kind of see what I mean. Say you had just like a big block of color, you don't have any highlight, you can actually take your eraser, just make sure there's no like eraser gunk on it. So I just make sure I just erase out some of my pencil stuff. Okay, and you can actually just erase. Okay, it doesn't totally erase it, and that's what you want. You still want that pencil crayon to stain the paper, so there's like an undertone. They can erase out some highlights, so just some little like cut sections of light. Doesn't matter too much. Kind of just pull down in like a little section. Kind of play around with it, get to a point where you think it looks shiny. As long as you leave little bits of white here and there, it should look fine. And then your little under part, I didn't really worry too much about that. Just get maybe the center of that middle part sort of highlighted, so I didn't press as hard. And your little handle, I kept like the center of the circle highlighted. So sometimes I just sort of spiral inwards because you naturally go lighter as you go into the center. So like the edges of that circle are nice and dark. Kept the inside edge of the handle darker. And just like kind of the top of it a little lighter. Remember that we're going to outline everything with a black pen, so it kind of gives it more of like a graphic style. Maybe the lightest point of that handle will be like the top, this top curve. So I went a lot lighter up there. Didn't press as hard. Optional, if you like your cup just flat color like that, you can keep it like that. I went in with like a little bit of navy blue and just added a little dash of some shadow. It's kind of like the shadowing in the cup. Kind of kept around that ribbon and just sort of softly pulled down. So again, I go in like teeny little circles. I'm always like spiraling when I'm filling in. Teeny little circles. It just helps it so it's not so like sharp edges, because it helps fade out the color. And sort of just threw it in here and there. In the little corners. Definitely around the base. Kind of coming in each side there. Underneath the lip. I gave it like a little ring around that lip. And then you're going to fill in with that dark blue around your crystals. So I did like a line across my crystals at the base of them. And just filled in the side of the cups. Remember that you have a little lip of that turquoise color. There should be like a little bit of a gap there. Thank you for joining. And then, sorry, that was for somebody else, not for everybody. I'm not ending my video yet. I've got a little bit to go. Let's go and do some flowers. I did my flowers purple with the little centers yellow, pretty typical. With the hibiscus, it comes out a little bit. It's almost like a little stem. Like that. It has like a weird shape to it. A little hot dog. And just stuck it out a little bit more. I went darker purple at the base of the hibiscus. So I kind of flicked them out. Like that purple. The flowers have like little ridges to them. So flicking your purple out kind of creates that little ridge in the flower for you. So it's like a little flick. Always kind of coming out from the center of the flower. And then filled in the rest like a light pink. So again, got that undertone, soft pink. Yeah. And then at the top of the petals with like a, maybe more of like a lavender. Actually, no. Yeah, like a lavender. I kind of went a little harsher. Kind of framed the flower a little bit. Kind of went around like my little outline kind of at the base of them. Not too heavy. And maybe added like a little bit of like a rose pink, like a few little slashes of that kind of stemming out from the middle, like adding little creases of it, maybe a little bit in the corners of the petals, like down the one side of each petal sort of thing. Whoa. 1 second. Report. Sorry, I got some spam there. Anybody want to join a little dating site? Who are these people? What are you doing? So weird. Don't click those things. I did the same sort of idea with the other flower. I didn't really get too technical with the flowers. I sort of had just fun with it. So I just kind of did that little flicky thing coming down the petals. I mean, at this point, it's kind of just coloring in. So all about exploring your colors and like how they layer, learning your brands of pencil crayon can make a huge difference in your outcome. I didn't do too much with that. flower, maybe add a little bit of blue. Center, I went yellow with that. Just kind of spiraled it in. Some of the details is left for the black pen at the end. Filled in those little buds too, just like deep purple at the base. So like where it splits off. And then light purple on top. And you get into those mushrooms because they're super fun. So I used red and orange and brown. So first I circled made my little circles to keep white. And you want some little half circles sort of on your edges. You don't want them all to be full circles. And I just went dark red at the base of each little mushroom cap. And then softly transitioned to orange at the top. So I filled in like solid red and then still put in like a soft undertone of red at the top. You could just keep it like that if you like it like that. If you want to add like a little hint of orange at the top of your mushroom cap, you could do that. Teeny bit of orange. Try and get a nice fade. You're always trying to achieve like an ombre. It's not really what it's called in art. It's called a gradient. But that's what you're always trying to achieve, is like a nice transition from dark to light. Whatever you're doing, like even in the cup, you're always trying to get, you don't want to just abruptly stop and go highlight to shadow. It's always like a nice transition from your darks to your lights. A little bit of orange in there. There, my light's shining. For the stem, I use like a tan color. A little bit of tan and a little bit of light brown. I just softly went, kind of have to go around all your stuff. But same idea, sort of darker at the base. Or you could keep it super light because usually the stems are a white color. So just keep it soft. Kind of down the one side. Thanks, Pam. Colored underneath, not too much, just sort of filled in. Again, everything's gonna pop as soon as we add that black pen in. Everything's just gonna be like pow. With my light brown, I added just like a little dash of shadow right underneath the cap. Not much, but just adds a little bit of a shadow. Kind of makes it cartoony. With the green leaves, I did a bunch of different colors of green. I didn't really have a system for it. Sort of just tried to keep the middle of the leaves lighter. Just softly filled them in, maybe with like this is an apple green. Then went in with like a pine green. That's not my pine. Kind of just chopped into it a little bit. Little zigzags inside. You're just kind of faking some of the detail. Like you don't have to really get too heavily into it. It's more of just like a fun it's whimsical, so it doesn't really have to have like heavy realistic. We're not going for realistic. We're going for like graphic art. That's funny. Feel much better now that I arted. Love it. Hilarious. So I just went in with like a dark green, maybe even, oh, my pencil crayon keeps breaking. You can add in like a little dash of turquoise. Makes your leaves like a little bit more and whimsical, a little bit more fun. I'm just tossing in colors, even like a little olive green. So I got lots of variety of green in there. Okay, again, it'll all sort of flow together once we add that black. So you can kind of pick and choose your greens. I tried to use a different, even lime green. You do like the tips of your little viney leaves like lime green, and then the base of them dark green, so that they kind of pop a bit. Change up your greens. Maybe your leaves have one color pattern and your vines have a different sort of pattern. I'm not really putting a lot of heavy detail into those leaves. Just sort of tossing in the colors. Outlining it. Maybe the centers a little bit more bright green. And maybe the base closest to the inside of where they're coming out of, have a little bit more of that heavier green. Sometimes I just scribble it in. Because it kind of makes the details, like it almost makes it look like it has details when you kind of just like whoosh. Same with these ones over here. I go with a heavier green. So I literally just scribble in the center of those and then do the tips of light green. If you're done your leaves, you could start your moon. The moon, I didn't do much to it. Just filled it in solid yellow. Throwing in that lime green. Let's do that butterfly, actually. I did like a dark pink and a light pink. And same idea with the flowers. So you're just, from that base of the body, your darkest color, you're kind of flicking out into that, the first little part of the wing, the colored part. Ah. I broke my pencil crown. I gotta change my color. I just kind of fanned it out. You could do like an orange butterfly, like a monarch, if you want. And just soft. Soft pink. Don't worry about that that little part in there. We're going to do that with the black pen. Okay, so then you can color in your moon. I went with like a deep, deep yellow. Golden yellow. Remember, take your time too. If you're still working away like over in this stuff, don't feel rushed. I could spend a lot more time, and I would. I just, for recording purposes. I don't want to make you wait till 10 at night drawing along with me. I'm sure by now you're sick of my raspy voice. Okay, this one's gonna break on me, so oh yeah, that's a nice deep. I just went solid with the moon, and like if you want, it's kind of optional, you can give it like a little orange ring. Like I kind of went a little deeper on the outside. Yellow, sorry, I should have, before you started that, I should have told you that yellow and pencil don't mix well. It makes like a mucky color, so try and get rid of that pencil as much as you can. It's okay if you kind of layered into it a little bit, but don't try and smudge it out. And we're gonna give it a little ring with that black pen so that it will take out some of it or hide some of that pencil. So remember, sort of when you're doing a big area like this, try and use the side of your pencil. So give it a good sharpen so you have a long lead, so you don't see all your pencil marks. So I give it long lead, and then I'm keeping the pencil crown flush with the paper. So I'm not using like the tip because it makes too many marks. So I try and use the side of my pencil crown, and I'm going in like tight circles. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm actually kind of going in a circular motion so that you don't see where sort of my pencil markings are ending. You might see it online. I mean, it's hard because of the lighting. You're going to see a little bit more detail in my, you're going to see all that kind of stuff. I got 3 lamps going, so it's kind of hard to for me to make it look flat. But in person, it looks a little bit more flat. Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Anne. Glad you're having fun. I tried to keep this one a little bit more lighter, more fun, not so stressful with how it has to turn out. If yours is a little wonky, maybe your moon is wonky. Mine was very wonky to start. But that's kind of the joy of this one, because it is supposed to be whimsical. So if your cup is like weird and like kind of not symmetrical, that's all part of it. You kind of want it to be a little wonky, gives it some character. Maybe it's like more of like an Alice in Wonderland type magical thing going on. So I hope that you guys sort of just had fun with picking up a pencil again. I have a little bit more complex free tutorials. The cow, her name is Daisy Moo or something. That one's a little bit more complex if you want to get into that. If you ever want to look back on some free tutorials, try something a little bit more challenging. Again, next month is the rainbow seashells. It's not as hard. The outline's not as hard, but the coloring is a little bit more, you kind of have to be a little bit more thoughtful of it or aware of your color choices. There's a lot of blending in it. Might see a little sliver of my moon in there. Ooh, very nice, Rand. Can't wait to see it. You always have a fun twist on my drawings. I love it. So what do we have? Oh yeah, I was gonna add a little bit of orange. This is optional. Just softly, I'm not pushing it in too hard. Just around the edges of the moon. It gives it a little bit more of a glow. Or just the deeper, kind of deepens the yellow. I'm not trying to make it look orange. I'm just adding a teeny tiny soft layer to the corner and the edges. Try to blend it out. And we have one last little thing with color before we get into that pen. The pen takes like 5 minutes. Won't take very long, so we're almost done. Thank you for those who stuck by me to the very end. So make a cute tattoo. So, last little bit is just those little twinkles. You can change it up, use whatever colors. I kind of stuck with my crystal colors because obviously that's what's making that sparkle. So you just go long, out, back in. Yep. I didn't really color them in, but you can, nice and softly. So I did a few, like a big one, medium one, and a teeny one with one color, maybe a few little soft ones that you can barely see, and a few little dots, and then changed my color. So I did pink, purple, and blue. So big one. Softly filled in the center. Little medium one. And some teeny tiny, itty bitty little dots. And a purple. I did a few too many, but got carried away. And then that black pen. So I'm just using a regular Bic pen, so you don't really need to have any fancy pen. If you ever want to get more into like graphic art, I actually use these. They're called microns. They're awesome. Archival ink. So it's got a really fine tip. They're really awesome. I think you can just get them at every kind of art store. Can be a little expensive, so I just find my Bic pen works great for these sort of tutorials. Everybody's got them at home. So now I just pretty well went over my original lines. Sometimes your pen can get a little finicky on those over top of pencil crown. It doesn't like it so much. Sometimes you just got to work it in. There we go. No. Oh. There. Takes a second, and you don't have to fully outline. Like if your line doesn't go all the way down, doesn't matter. Like it just slice in that black. If it would work. Sometimes that like the pencil crown, the wax gets inside the pen, so it gets like clogged. Try this one. I think this one was a dollar store big pen. There we go. This one's nicer. What is this? Some sort of pen. I don't know. It's working. So you don't have to have like the solid black line. You're just kind of splitting up your colors so it pops. Sometimes my line's just like a little dash. But that helps even more, giving it that like graphic art style where it's like more just a guideline. Outline your moon, outline basically everything. Try my archival pen. I even like outline my little dots, my circles, and my mushroom. The pen is not working. Oh, there we go. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can take your time with that, be a little bit more careful with it. But that is how you draw a cup full of whimsy, sorry. So I hope you guys enjoyed yourself and learned something new, or even just kind of got out of your comfort zone of whatever medium you like to work in. Or maybe this is your first time picking up a pencil in a long time. And therefore, you should give yourself a pat on the back just for trying something new. And I hope to see you guys at the next event in June. Outline all your little inner workings of your flowers. Give it some more detail if you can get your pen to work. Oh, the butterfly, actually, I want to do that before I sign off. Just in that, it's not working. The part in the back of the wing. Come on. Ah! My pen is not working. It just spiraled in. Okay. I'm going to use a pencil crown. It's not working. Sometimes your paper makes a difference. This is like a really thick paper, and the pen just like sits inside, or like indents the paper. So it's not wanting to work with me. Basically, I outline that wing, outer part of the wing, and just spiraled in teeny, like just make sure you keep like little gaps of white. So I'm just making tiny little spirals, and kind of helps it make it look like a little monarch butterfly. And you can get in with all those little black details. So you can kind of take your time with it, work at your own pace. And just want to thank you all for supporting me and supporting Artist Palette and joining me tonight. So thank you so much, everybody. Have yourself a wonderful cup of whimsy.